Simple interest. Simple interest, just to understand the concept a little bit better, it means that the amount of interest that you earn will remain constant for the entire time of the loan or the investment. So as an example, if you've got $1,000 invested and if you earn $30 in interest, at the end of the first year, you will have a value of $1,030. You will earn $30 each year after that, and it will keep going up by 30. The amount of interest does not change according to how much money is in your account or still owing on your loan. There is a formula you can use. The formula you can use looks like this. I equals PRT over 100. If you're using this, I stands for your amount of interest or your interest amount. P stands for your principal, which is the amount you start with. R stands for your interest rate. And T will be your time. The thing that you have to be careful with is your interest rate and time have to be in the same time fraction. So if interest rate is per annum, time must also be in years and over 100. A couple of examples to do. Finding the amount of interest when time and interest rate are both in years. So the thing that I would always start off with, writing your letters down the side of the page. Write down your letters I, P, R, and T. Go through your question, find the information that you've got. So how much interest? This is what we're trying to find. This I is what we don't know. Just fix that up. This I was what we didn't know. Is earned on an investment of $5,000. So $5,000 is how much I start with. That's my principal. Principal was $5,000. Invested at an interest rate of 4.5% per annum. 4.5%. PA, and it's 3 years, and it's 3, and this is years, so we're fine. So go into your formula, I equals PRT over 100, so 5,000 times 4.5 times 3 over 100, which gives you a value of 675. Be careful when you're doing financial maths. You have to think about what the answer tells you. This tells you the amount of simple interest you have made. What is in value in the investment after these 3 years? Well, you had $500 in there to start with, and you earned $675 in interest. So at the end of that time, you had $5,675. Find the amount of interest when time is not in years, but interest is. So these are a little bit more difficult. What is the value of an investment of $5,000 if invested for 6 months? So 6 months is not in years, so we'll deal with this in a moment. Still 4.5% per annum, and it's simple interest. So we're still going to write the letters down. PRT. Amount of interest is what we still want to know, so that's my question mark. Principal was 5,000. Interest rate was 4.5. And my time is 6 months, but it's out of 12 months in a year. So 6 out of 12, you can change that to 0.5 if you like, or you can use 6 over 12 on your calculator. So the formula, I equals PRT over 100, 5,000 times 4.5 times, and I'm going to do 6 over 12, and that is all over 100. Go and put that into your calculator as it looks, and you will end up with the answer of 112.5. So we've made $112.50. Financial maths, always go to 2 decimal places. What is the value of an investment of $5,000 if invested for 100 weeks at 4.5% per annum simple interest? So again, we're going to write down the letters that we know, and we've got I, P, R, and T. Interest in this case, we still don't know. Principal in this case was 5,000. Interest rate 4.5, and time is 100 weeks, but it's out of 52 weeks in a year. So I'll go into the formula. I equals PRT over 100. So 5,000 times 4.5 times 100 over 52. That's all over 100. And if you do that, you will end up with the answer 432.69. Now, again, it's an important thing to read the question properly and think, what does that tell you? What I've found is I've found the amount of interest. The question asks for the end value or the value of an investment. So I started with 5,000. I made this in interest. So my end value, which we can call A, is the 5,000 that I started with, plus $432.69, which gives me a value of $5,432.69. The next one, what is the value of an investment when $5,000 is invested for 1 month? There's two different ways that I'm going to do this. Either way will be quite acceptable. So if I use my formula, I'm going to write the letters down the side of the page again. P, T. My interest, I don't know yet. My principal was 5,000. My interest rate was 4.5% per year, and my time was 1 month out of 12 months. Put this into the formula, PRT over 100. So I equals 5,000 times 4.5 times 1 over 12, which was all over 100, which gives us 18.75. Again, think about what the question tells you. This tells you that interest is 18.75, so my total value or my end result has to be my 5,000 plus this $18.75. One way to answer it, perfectly fine. Second way we might answer the same problem, if I just divide the page up, is we've got 1 month of 4.5% per annum. It's 4.5% per year. So we can find out how much it is per month. If I go back to the slide that I was on, is 4.5 divided by 12, because it's 4.5 shared between the 12 months over 100 to give me 4.5 shared between 12%, times by the 5,000 that I've started with, which gives me 18.75. Matches up to the same thing over here. Again, my end value has to be the principal added on. Either way, you get the same answer. Right, now on this side, we're trying to find the interest rate, time, or principal. We can substitute in what we know and then solve, or we can rearrange first with one of these shortcuts. Either way is fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to answer this question down the bottom with substitution first, and then we'll do the shortcuts over on the right-hand side. So if we were going to write this out, we'd still write out the things we know, I, P, R, and T. Now working off the example down the bottom, how long does it take for an investment of $10,000 to grow to $13,000? So it's grown by $3,000. We must have made $3,000 in interest. Principal is how much we started with, was 10,000. Interest rate was 2.5%, and time is what we don't know. So we'll put this into the formula. I equals PRT over 100. So principal was 10,000 times an interest rate was 2.5 times a time was what we don't know. So we'll leave that as a question mark over 100. The other part we do know though is I is interest. So interest is 3,000. We can backtrack on this, or we can use solve on the calculator. So on the calculator page, we're going to use solve. So menu, algebra, solve. Write in the equation that we had, 3,000 equals 10,000. Actually, this wanted to be a fraction, so we'll go back and set it up as a fraction. 10,000 times by 2.5 times by t over 100, and we want to tell it what we're going to solve it for. So comma t, press enter, it tells us that t has to be 12. So we have t equals 12 years. So instead of using solve on the calculator, which is perfectly fine to do that, we have got shortcuts that we can use first. These shortcuts are now written on the right, And we're going to do the similar thing down here for the same problem. So I'm just going to write out the exact same stuff I had before because this hasn't changed. Interest is still 3,000, principal is still 10,000, rate is still 2.5, and T is what I don't know. So I'm going to call that a question mark. So I go through, T's the thing that I don't know. I look here, what don't I know? I don't know T, so T is this one. So T equals 100I over PR, and then I'll plug in the numbers that I have got. So I've got 100 times the interest was 3,000 over principal was 10,000 times the interest rate of 2.5. I'm going to go back on the calculator, check this out, but our answer should come out to be 12 years. We'll just go back and double check. And just double checking it off the calculator, we end up with the answer 12. Either way, we get the same answer. Either way, we're correct.